Hey everybody, welcome back to the Crossover Cinema Podcast. We're here reviewing films, series, media releases. But before we start, let me introduce myself real quick. Well, let me introduce us real quick. We are two Montrealers, two guys that inclusivity rhymes with.
Diversity?
Gaia, you got it. I didn't know if you could have get it.
I wasn't
but
sure. I was
yeah,
like,
man.
are we going
Nah,
there?
you're fast. You're fast. I knew you were going there. So yeah, my name is Carlo.
And I'm Kaya, y'all. You already know we're reviewing the finale of
We're
the
here,
Penguin.
man.
We're here, and there's a lot to get into. I feel like no resume this time. I think we should just take a moment of silence. Take a moment of silence for Victor. Oz,
Every time we take that moment of silence in the podcast, because it's not the first time we did it for Gambit. We do it a lot of times, and every time
listen, bro. Listen,
you're
bro.
so intense, man.
No,
but
let me just
I feel
bring
I
it
feel
back.
though.
I'm gonna look right in
Yeah,
the
go
camera
for
for
it.
this. Oz, when I find you, and I will find you, you will pray, pray for your mother's forgiveness. You will never get, because she's vegetative. I'm coming for you. Okay, let's get right into it.
Seriously, you could play Batman. I think you
Maybe.
could have a shot,
Maybe.
like the the altered universe where
I'm
Black Batman arrives.
You know what? I can pitch that to you, but that'll be a whole separate thing.
The question is, does Batman keep his beard if he's black or not? Like, that's the question.
I think the beard is what makes him extra. Like it adds the extra. It's the capital B in the black.
Yeah, I think he keeps
You
it.
know, if Idris was playing Batman, you'd be like, keep the beard. You're good, babe.
Let's go right into it, bro. Like, you have a lot to say. I can't believe Victor's dead.
I had to sleep
I
on
was
it.
so mad when
I had
that
to
happened.
really-
I almost threw my phone. Like,
You feel
I had
it.
a Game of Thrones kind of moment with like Ned Stark. You know what I mean? I was like, but I get that he's so evil. But they could have kept him, man. I wanted to see him in the movie or something, man. I was attached to that character. We're
I
gonna
think-
see him for sure in other stuff.
I
like,
think you have
he
a
did
really
great
good
job,
point
man.
about just him being kind of like a carryover, someone that you would have just thought because of his trajectory this season that he would have had that role in the films, even if it was a minor cameo, just getting something for Penguin, like having an interaction with
He's
Batman.
still there somewhere. Yeah.
Still there and still kind of just thriving in his own way. And that light was cut short. And it's like, there's a moment, I think everybody has a moment in that scene where they're realizing what's about to happen. And it happens either earlier or later, depending on how you felt about that relationship and what the foreshadowing was saying. Was the foreshadowing really implying that he was going to kill Victor? And it was.
Well, yeah, because every time I thought about it after, I was like, he was just waiting like the right time, but he was killing him
when
anyways.
his usefulness ran out. And when his status as
he
a liability.
played him so badly, like, oh man, that man is bad. We're gonna get like
He's a real
yeah.
He's a real villain.
Oh,
That's the best way to put it. He's a real villain,
that's so
and
bad, yeah.
it's almost as though he kind of just decided at that last moment that was where his real humanity was going to just fully go away. I think throughout the whole series, right, we're seeing him become less and less likable, inarguably. I think like that clear moment when he's spitting and frothing at the mouth, trying to like make excuses to Sal Maroni's wife, and Sophia's watching him just like cower. I think that's the first moment you're supposed to really acknowledge that he's not as likable as you might want him to be, or as the show kind of pitches him to you. And I think killing Victor is like the cemented act. It's the most damning thing, and it's unforgivable.
No, for us, the viewer, Penguin will be an evil dude that needs to be stopped. And I love the fact that what happened with that series. I'm not gonna lie, the last episode I was expecting more, but let's just talk about character-wise. Like, I think it's the first time we get something that solid in the backstory of a villain character that we
A real
really root
origin,
for him, and
you
at the
know?
same time we really hate him. It's like it's very hard, I think, to do it well, and this series really did it well.
It's a flawless execution overall.
I'm not gonna lie, when Sophia was almost like we thought that Penguin was gonna kill her, I was like, she cannot die, man. She cannot die like that.
No, there's
I don't
too
want
much
her to
potential
die.
for her character.
And it was a perfect scene. I think it was great how it was done. But god damn, like,
Are you satisfied with that as her end? Kind of
As her
ending up
end?
back in the same spot that she originated at.
well, the fact that she got her letter by her half sister, that is, let's say it,
Catwoman. You already know. It's
Catwoman.
exciting. That's so exciting. And the theme song playing as she read the letter and that sparkle of hope in her eyes. Like
if you understand, I think it's a good ending. I think
absolutely.
it's good that she didn't die. Like, I like it. I prefer that ending than Victor, man. That's for sure.
There's a punishment involved in her kind of like in her ending that you're kind of like, oh, well, it's justified. You did blow up and level a city block. You know, you killed civilians. You know, you decided that your rule was, you know, law. It was my way or the highway. And you're dealing with the consequences of that, like actively, like her being in Arkham, right? But
Her being back in Arkham.
yeah, back in Arkham. But I feel like
But
it's
that's
more
the interesting thing.
It's
They're
more. There's
all gonna
more
go
to
in
it.
Arkham, right?
Well, I think that's
They're
it. There's
all-
more to it than just, oh, she's
like-
back there. I think it's more
No, it's
the
like-
consistent institutionalization of that facility and what
Mm-hmm.
it allows and facilitates in the world of Gotham and this version of the Batman. You know, it creates these villains in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
respects. It aids and abets the factors that are already being, you know, that are already an issue for them as a person, the flaws that they have or the things that they're dealing with, the traumas, and then it just exacerbates it.
Mm-hmm.
And they come out worse. We love to see it.
But at the end, it's a great way to like put them all together and creating a really big story about like the three, or the, you know what I mean? Like, I see it in the future that it could really well be played. Like,
It feels like a
getting
natural.
all those villains together. Some of them hate each other. We all know the backstories of everybody like that. Could be interesting. But that's the thing, huh? You were telling me that, like, I think 3 years, 4 years ago, maybe more, maybe during pandemic. Yes, guys, that's how long I know Kaya.
Long time.
But you were telling me now all this series will be mixed with the movies, and if you didn't see the movie, that you're not gonna know exactly what happened in the film. Like, if you didn't see the
Well, so
movie.
that's something
The
I think
series,
that,
sorry.
that crossover kind of synergy. Yeah, pun
And
intended.
today we see it a lot. Bro.
It's very- it's
all the
very
Marvel
clear.
is there now. DC's doing it.
The
like,
brands want corporate synergy amongst their kind of their different
they
IP
wanna
and
bring you
whatnot.
on their
and,
platform, bro.
you know,
That's what
I don't think it always is necessary. I think sometimes, like a show like Agatha, for example, allows itself to be in its own lane in the MCU. But then when you have something like the Penguin and the Batman in and of itself having its own realm, you know what I mean? Its own kind of shape of things. It's very interesting for me to just kind of like see what that kind of entails. And I'm like, at this point, I want to know if we're just going to consistently get these sorts of origin story style tie-in series, right, that lead into mainline Batman films. It feels a lot like a comic book in that sort of way, where you have a main event like a Civil War, but then you have every single character dealing with that event, you know, a Crisis on Infinite Earths or anything like that. And I think that they're doing a very good job of really making the epic crime saga its own. You know, it feels like, for example, I think you were talking about Victor being with Penguin and the hope we kind of had of seeing him in the movies and stuff, right? I feel like that's a comic book thing we're thinking. It's a very comic book way of thinking, almost like he has his sidekick. And it's almost like this show is constantly reminding you, yeah, we love the comic book stuff too, but this isn't a comic book, man.
Yeah, but they're doing it really, really well to bring us always back, man. And like, every time I'm forgetting that I'm not in a comic book and there's something comic booky pop. But you're right, it's not a comic book.
No,
Like,
and it's
not-
it's a tonal shift.
And
that
he's
you,
a villain. He
you
doesn't
have to
have a sidekick who like, yes, there's some villain who has sidekicks, but the Penguin doesn't. You know, one thing that I was hoping and it didn't happen was he didn't have a moment where we saw him put his hat on with his full suit.
I
He
don't.
had his hat in his hand,
I get it.
but I wanted that. I really, really needed that just to close it. Like
you needed the visual of him with the top hat on and the cane and everything.
And just that he came in, like he didn't need to have it like when he's coming out of the car, but at least like at one point just puts it back there. But we just have that visual.
No, I think
that would have helped a lot.
I think that would have
for the ending
added to the comic book nature of the show, and I think
we were waiting for that.
In a lot of respects, we were right, but at the same time, I think the show is constantly balancing the tonal shift, right? And we got the full outfit for the most part. Yes, he didn't have the hat on, but he had the suit. Everything was in his hand. He had it in his hand. There was everything there for the makings of it. Because I think that what you want is when you watch the Batman Part 2, you want to see him in that full regalia. And I think that that's exactly what they're saving for a film. They're saving it for a film. And I think that that's the one thing you got to remember with these sorts of things. It's a careful balance of what do we put in the show that makes the show feel full enough and worthy enough of the viewer's attention and their admiration. And then at the same time, how do we make sure that when the Batman Part 2 comes out that we have all these narrative things to go over and developments to develop on. And I think it's clear that this show was setting the table in a lot of respects for the next film. I think just for what the state of Gotham will be like when everything gets going. And that bat signal coming up, I'm telling you, the movie is picking up the moment that bat signal lights up. Absolutely.
But that's the thing. I think that you will understand everything if you didn't watch The Penguin. Mm-hmm. You will understand Batman too, and that's what they did too. Like they were aware of like people will not necessarily watch it on HBO, but they will go see it with their kids or something.
Exactly.
So
there's always
that's why Victor, I think, is dead. That's why I think we got like, I think that's why she's back in Arkham too. You know, like
a lot of clear,
Arkham, Sophia, but she left. But it's like we're back. She's back there, and we could restart from there. You know what I mean? Like,
but not to the point where you can't kind of pick up. And there's so much that happened that you have to kind of spend the whole movie working with that, right? You can just pick up and play. And I think that is lending to the quality of the show, surprisingly, because usually it's the inverse. You're usually like, oh, well, this means this show is inconsequential or whatever. But in fact, it's the opposite. The show is extremely instrumental in just helping us understand what this Gotham is like. We only had 2 hours and 45 minutes to be with that version of Gotham. And I think getting to be with Gotham and sit with it in like the cesspool that it is for this entire series, this 8 episodes, was so like, it was enriching. And it was really like a good way to feel like you're enveloped in the world, like you're in, like you are a citizen of Gotham watching all these things happen, and you're kind of just this like bird's eye view over everything. It's really nice to see. I'm really happy. Just like, even, you know what, moreover, I really gotta say they did a great job with Frances. I don't know the actress's name, but shouts out to you, both actresses. They really just like brought a vulnerability to a character who, like, you can really empathize with her in terms of like her pain and her suffering and whatnot, but then you also are like, wow, you did feed the monster, you fed the beast, you know. And showing those two scenes, showing the dance separate in episode 7, and then showing the precursor to that she actually wanted to kill him. It's a perfect, it's like, oh wow, okay, writers.
No, it's not exactly. And I think that the theme about Arkham Asylum and mental health issues, even with the Penguin with his mother, it's a theme that comes back a lot, and that's where it's realistic. It's like written realistically.
It's a trauma that they want to revisit in all different ways, like the trauma of what I think mental health does, like a lack of institutionalization. You know, in the case of in Frances's case, doesn't mean that she didn't turn out, you know, as kind of batshit crazy as everybody else. And I think that moment where she stabs him, it's really cathartic for her. And as it's shocking for us, you already know he's the worst. He was willing to let his mother go through pain just to keep up a lie he knew she didn't know. You know, like she been knew you killed your brothers. This is obvious. Like it doesn't take a rocket
and after that, he's continuing to do the lie, man. That's what it's
and culminating in that what would the term be? Oedipus like complex,
Hey,
kind of back and forth.
I don't know which complex it is, man, but it's a very important one in psychiatry. That's for sure. I don't know if it's
Eve is
complex. I think,
Eve's getting her money, man.
In love with her parents.
All she got to do is dress up as her, do a little hair, tell so you're good, baby.
But
it's okay, baby.
The question is, does she sleep with him after? Because that's another level again, bro. Like I don't know.
I think you can glean from that what you will, man. Brother. I'm pretty sure. And that lets you know.
Such a villain, you know.
And that's it. They're just taking it a step further, and I think they're just trying to remind you. Yeah, he really is just kind of the worst. Like,
yeah, man.
And actually a viable threat to the Batman with his influences in the government potentially now of Gotham and whatnot. I definitely think we're gonna see a Penguin that puts his hands in every pot and works and moves smarter than anybody anticipates, because they always underestimate him every time.
Okay, let's take a short break. We're coming back in a second.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Agua.
Okay, we're back. Thank you guys for being there. I'm sorry.
A little 1-2 minute.
Like, nobody will know. Yeah, sometimes.
But no,
it's November, huh? Here in Canada in November, maybe you guys are from other places in the world. I see that there's a lot of people that are watching us from du Maroc. So guys, hey.
Okay.
Yeah, we're like 10%. Right. Yeah.
I see y'all. Shouts out my fellow Africans.
So that's nice. But we have a lot of people around the world. So just here in Canada, it's cold. The weather is always changing.
It's fluctuating a lot.
I'm feeling it.
We're feeling the climate change, that's for sure. We had a super warm Halloween. That was weird.
That was weird. Like 21 degrees the next day, we were like at 2 degrees.
At this point, I'm like, I don't really know if we can reverse this shit, but that's a discussion for another day. The polar bears, the polar bears they're suffering a lot, like Victor was suffering, you know.
Oh yeah. That was nice. Bravo. Bravo.
And a lot
so
like
let's go back right
suffering,
into it seriously.
You know, just seeing her in that hospital bed, vegetative, and she sheds that one tear. I was like, damn, bruh, you just kill her. Kill her already. Good God, let her die.
But I think that's suicide. Another thing. That's another thing, man. He's never gonna kill her, man. He's never gonna kill her. He's gonna leave her like that
until she naturally just passes. You know, which I hope
that's another layer, man. That's another layer.
I'm just sad for her at the end of the day. I'm sad for honestly everybody who was involved with this dude. Anybody whose lives he touches, you know, some way, shape, and form, he ruins your thing. And I think it's interesting that they didn't keep. There's a deleted scene from the Batman where he says to Selena, because she wants to go down into the 47 below, the club below, the club within the club, and I found it so interesting that they cut the scene, but he so clearly says to her like, yeah, I'm gonna take over Gotham one day, and you guys are gonna see, and you'll know I'm capable of helping you out the way you need to be helped. And it's so interesting to me to see like how like his relationship with like Rex Calabrese, right, was like just like kind of fabricated a lot in his head. He had this idealization of a guy who literally was cool with whacking him to help his mom out, you know. And I think that this like notion of nobility is so inherently flawed. And he doesn't care. He's like, yeah, I am noble. I'm still noble. Yeah, I killed Victor and I robbed his literal pockets, took his cash and threw his card and there's just so much to it to really cement the status of this show as essentially impeccable, and at the same time just a really good showcase for why comic book stories should be adapted into visual media like film and TV. I think it really lends to it so well, and I'm so happy to see this series get the success it deserves.
I still not sure what motivates the character. Like what motivates him. Like, is it like his mother? He wants to show to his mother? No, not really.
I think it is.
Because the lie is there, but he doesn't care really if you don't.
It is that, like that, and a couple other things too. I think it's definitely a power thing. I think it's a power thing, and ultimately I think even more so than just a power thing, it's really about just kind of exacting what he sees as right and correct upon the world. You know, his just due. It's all about what he deserves and what he's owed. He will use you up until there's nothing left and then discard you like nothing happened, you know?
But yeah, and that's crazy. So Kaya, I think it's a wrap on our impression and our review on the Penguin. I know there's a lot of stuff that happened
Emotions.
too, but at the end, I think we covered the important stuff.
I think ultimately all we need to say is that bat signal lit up. And I think that's what's most important. At the end of the day, that is going to get his just due. He's going to get the beat down of a life. You know what's going to happen? Robert Pattinson's going to press circle and then mash square till the end of time. And I'm telling you, it won't be enough.
No, I think he's going to be there for a long time, and Penguin is not ready to like leave like that. That's for sure. But it's going to be very interesting. I'm not like, is he going to be the main villain in the second one? Like, is it confirmed?
No, I think he's going to be a consistent parasite that just never leaves.
So you know what I mean? Like, we're not
a
done
consistent secondary villain, like a swiper, no swiping. You know, is always going to be there. God damn it. You already know.
Thank you guys being there. It's always a pleasure. If you guys want to like and subscribe, it's always appreciated. If not, thank you guys, and see you next time.
And you already know, we love having you guys here. We love just being able to just enjoy this media and really discuss it and break it down. And until next time on the next Crossover Cinema Podcast. Ciao, you guys.
Ciao.